Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm very well. What's
Good.
happening?
Not much. Just sitting in quarantine over here in Perth.
How long have you been in Perth?
Gosh, I got back. I think it's been 7 days now. It's been 1 week.
Did you have to do 14 days? Is that what you're doing
Yeah,
now?
yeah. I'm 1 week into that, so I'm right in the middle of it, and it's starting to get hard.
Wait a minute. How come you didn't have to go to a hotel?
I'm in a hotel.
Oh, they got you in a plush spot up there. What do you got back there? A
Yeah,
bike?
I'm in. Sorry.
What is that, a bike back there?
Oh yeah, my wife brought me that. Our friend owns a gym, and I said, "Look, I'm gonna go crazy if we don't get something in here." So she went and picked it up for me. Thank goodness. And
That's great.
yeah, it's keeping me sane.
Well, thanks for coming on. We've never met before. Obviously, I'm buddies with your
Yeah.
agent, so Sam hooked it up. But I've followed your career. I know a lot about you, and
Thanks.
got mad respect for your game. So you
Thanks.
came
Appreciate
from
it.
France, right?
Yeah, so I was in Montpellier, which is the south of France, really beautiful spot. And I was relatively quarantined there. They had pretty strict rules that we had to follow, and the police were out sort of enforcing them. So that was interesting. We had to stay inside our homes with the exception of we could go to the grocery store, we could go to the pharmacy, and we could exercise. But you weren't supposed to be out for more than an hour at a time. You had to have your ID with you at all times and like a note in French explaining, why you were out when you left. It was pretty intense. Yeah. So for the most part, I was by myself, in my apartment, and, obviously the fact that I could go outside and it was beautiful weather at the time helped, alleviate a bit of some of the stress and the, that feeling of being stuck inside. And then, and that was for I want to say I was in that for 3 weeks. So coming from that
Wow.
to 2 weeks of being stuck in a room has been an experience for sure.
Wow. So how was your season going? How were you playing? I saw a couple of games that you went off, and then it's just kind of bang, over.
Yeah, it was disappointing for sure. It's a long season over there, so it's ups and downs. This was my first year playing Euroleague, so that was really, really exciting. I really enjoyed that experience. We had just qualified for the quarterfinals, so that was really cool too. Great for the club. We literally got everything started to get canceled and suspended right before we were headed to, I think it was 2 a.m. the day we were supposed to catch a flight to Russia. And we got the group message alert hey, we're not going. We risk being quarantined in Russia for 2 weeks if we get off the plane and anybody had a fever. They were going to take everyone's temperature on the plane, not just us, anybody else that was on the flight. And they just decided it wasn't worth that risk. So we didn't go. And then everything sort of just started to quickly escalate from there. Every day was something new, something different. But yeah, we had a very good team. We were getting a few players back from injury that were really critical to how well we played and stuff. So it's really, it's disappointing that we didn't get a chance, obviously, to kind of finish it out and see how we would go. But it was a really fun season with a really great group. And I'm happy I got that opportunity.
So provided everything goes to the world comes to good health and it kind of opens up again, what's kind of your preference right now? Are you thinking you might just go for the safe route here in Australia, or go back over to Europe?
Gosh, look, it'll still depend probably on opportunities. So whatever kind of comes up that seems like the best opportunity for me, I try to not plan too much in terms of this is what I want to do, because you just never know if that right opportunity is going to come up, and I don't want to get my hopes up. So I'm very much open to anything. I'm very open to coming back and being in Australia. I love the WNBL. I love playing in Australia. I've missed that. But I've really enjoyed the experience and the challenge of Euroleague and playing, in France and in Europe, and all of, everything that comes with that. So yeah, I'm honestly really open to just whatever comes up. And I think obviously with kind of the climate of sports in the world in general right now, I don't anticipate really knowing maybe as soon as I would like, but yeah, I'm very much open to kind of any opportunity.
So let's talk about that EuroLeague, because it always fascinates me. It's such a great competition, and obviously the men get a lot of the accolades and international attention, but the women's league is crazy tough.
Yes.
How did you find it? Was it a more physical league, or was it just the talent and the athleticism? What was it about, Sami? Tell me.
Yeah, I would say for sure the physicality. I mean, it's a battle every single game, every single possession. And I think, they definitely let you play. They let you just go out there and, without it getting like dangerous, they let you kind of just fight it out. And whoever can take that and handle it and play through it kind of ends up being the team that wins. And I think our first game, we played Sopron at home, who's a really experienced EuroLeague team. And it was a lot for a lot of us. It was our first experience in EuroLeague. We had a kind of a young team. I was kind of the old head, being 30. And it was like a slap in the face that first game. I remember all of us, we battled and it was close, but like we came out of that game like, okay, this is what it's going to take every game, every possession. You really got to battle. And so that was a really good kind of first wake up call to that. And then, from there, every game we got better and we handled, I thought, the physicality really well. It was just, I would say for sure. I mean, obviously the players are athletic, they're smart. It's all of those things as well. But I think what really sets it apart for sure is that physical play. I
had one of your former teammates, Alice Kunick, just on.
Yeah, I saw.
And I mean, you guys that was a great year, the great season that you guys had out in Perth. It was, I know, it's sad that you didn't get what you wanted out of it. It was probably, I mean, I've been watching the WNBL since 1990, and I thought that team was one of the more exciting teams that I had ever seen come together. You, Courtney, and Alice as three really, really good players and exciting players, like, unpredictable.
Yeah, it was fun. It was. I mean, I remember that season we laughed so many times about, for whatever reason, our trademark was getting down by like 15 points. Like we would get down every game and like everyone thought it was over or whatever, like not us, but like everybody else. And then every game we just came back. We stayed steady. We did whatever we did. We figured it out at halftime and we came back and won, and I think we ended up, I don't know if we broke the record for the winning streak that year or if we tied it or got close, but we certainly were really close to it. We had like 13 games in a row or whatever it got to be. It might have been more than that. I can't even remember now. But it was one of those years that it was kind of bizarre because we were a bit unpredictable. We were sort of up and down, but I think, we were exciting at the end of the day because we never quit, and we had players like Court who you just – she's flashy, she's cocky, but like she's good, man. She's good. And she was fun to play with, fun to watch. Alice, obviously the slasher that she is and everything she brings, her competitiveness. But I mean, that was a fun season. Obviously, didn't get the result we wanted, but always fun to compete with players like that.
Now, you went to high school in Ventura, California, right?
I did, yes. Many moons ago, I did.
It wasn't that long ago. Stop it. So I lived in LA for a while, and I used to go up to. So what are you actually from? The city.
I'm from Ventura, and I went to Buena High School, which was in Ventura. There were like two big ones that were in Ventura. It was Buena and Ventura. That was the big rivalry. I went to Buena during that time. Yeah.
So I used to go up to Camarillo a lot.
Yeah. So I have an aunt who like lived there almost. I mean, most of her adult life. I think she's in Ventura now. But I've been to Camarillo plenty. I know Camarillo.
You know the outlet shops?
Oh yeah. The movies there. I'd go to the movies there. Those like outdoor outlets. Loved them.
Yes.
Loved them. Yeah, Camarillo was cool. It was cool.
Yeah. So, and then also, my buddy he was the last head coach for the Dallas Cowboys, and they always had training camp at up in Ventura also, so I would go up there quite a bit. I
do remember hearing about that. I think people used to like you could pop in and stuff and watch sometimes. I think
they'd have huge crowds. They'd have like 5,000 people every day up there.
I never went, but I do remember hearing that. I had friends I think who would go.
So heavily recruited out of high school, or
no, honestly, look, I would say I've never been in my career a heavily recruited player. to this day, probably. But I had an experience that I really enjoyed in high school.
You don't get to stop. You don't get to
Yes.
EuroLeague unless you've been heavily recruited in your pro career.
It's not true.
Oh, what? You just
I
called
sneak
up,
in.
Stop.
I sneak in.
You just didn't call up and they're like, hey, EuroLeague team, can you let me play for you this year? Is that how it went? Wrong.
Yes, basically. No, but I wasn't. But I loved my experience, in high school, and I loved the recruiting process was really kind of simple for me. It was pretty easy. UW had been there from like day one. They were like the first school to recruit me, which was always like a negative to me. I'm like, they're too eager. I need somebody less eager. Like, that's probably not a good sign if they want me this much. But at the end of the day, I went up there, I visited. I loved Seattle. I loved the campus. The group of girls that were there, as well as the coaching staff, were really, really just interesting to me and exciting. They came for a home visit, and that was the done deal. I committed then. And then, I went, and it was 1 year of like a really great experience with that coaching staff and that group. And then the coaching staff was fired. 7 girls graduated. Like, the program was flipped like upside down on its face. It was really crazy. And then because we got the new coaching staff, and then this incoming recruiting class that wasn't recruited by this new coach, that was interesting too. 2 of the girls, a few of them didn't come. And then after that first year with her, like half of that recruiting class left as well. So it was a couple of years of like kind of rebuilding every year and starting over, and trying to figure out how you fit in with this new coach as well that didn't recruit you, who maybe wanted to implement a different style. So it was hard, but I really think I learned a lot from that experience, from staying and kind of, gutting it out and not just transferring.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
God,
the culture these days, I cannot believe how easy it seems to be for people to transfer. It blows my mind now. And I know it's hard, and you want to obviously be somewhere where you feel valued and you're playing, but at the same time, like, I don't know, I just feel like there's less of this mentality of like, I'm just going to work until, I get my opportunity, and then I'm going to prove myself. Like, it's so much of like, I'm not happy here, I'm going to leave. Like, I don't know. It's crazy though. I feel like I see transfers all the time now.
I had Davidson's coach on, men's basketball coach Bob McKillop, on yesterday, and he was talking about the same thing. Trust where you're at and commit to it. Yeah. And show the program that you're there and that you want to make this work, and the program will give you love back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
But that transfer portal rule has just made it so easy. Like, that's terrible.
I know. Like, I don't love it. Yeah, I don't love it. So, but yeah, so I stayed, and then, I didn't have a, super remarkable career probably. But it was, again, I think something that I'm really proud of, in that I stayed and I worked really hard. I tried to get better every year. I think I did. I loved the group of girls that I came in with, and that the 3 of us stayed and graduated together, and we're still really good friends. So I'm really proud of that. But yeah, it was definitely 4, tough years. And it was a grind. Yeah, it was for sure. But I definitely have no regrets about where I went and that I stayed. I loved it.
So when did you develop that quick fire? Bang.
I mean, when I came into college, I wasn't a 3-point shooter. That wasn't really my thing. And after my freshman year, and kind of during my freshman year, I remember one of my coaches took me aside and said, and this was told to me kind of during the recruiting process too, but once I got to UW, they really kind of reinforced it. If I wanted to be, like a good wing player, and if I wanted to be a contributor, like, I needed to develop that outside shot more. I couldn't rely just on, penetrating. I couldn't rely on, other things. I really had to kind of develop that and get confident with it. I think that was probably the biggest thing. So I just spent that whole summer after my freshman year just in the gym doing that, like using the gun, getting, like people to shoot with, and really tried to just get confident with that. And I did that every year until probably like my senior year. It really was kind of my weapon of choice. I really became like a shooter, which I was not before. You wouldn't have, when I stepped on the court, people weren't like shooter, which is now kind of all people do say, So I would say that's probably when it first became, what I went to, my go-to. And then after that, that was when, once I got overseas, and that, you know, people sort of identified me as a shooter, then it was like, okay, now that I'm identified as a shooter and people don't want me to shoot, I need to be able to kind of shoot quicker, because obviously they're defending me a bit better, a bit closer. So that was kind of when I started watching, you know, the quicker shooters and the quicker triggers, and working on my footwork, because a lot of it, people think that it's, you know, just throwing the ball fast or shooting the ball fast, but a lot of it's the prep in that and getting your feet set and those types of things. So I just kind of tried to work on those things as much as I can. And yeah, it was just a lot of practice during the course of my overseas career.
I know when I watch you on TV a lot, when you're on the far side, so if you're looking at it, when you're on the far side and you're getting that ball from your left, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
You can really get it up like clay-like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get that thing up and it's gone so quick.
Yeah.
And that's really rare in the women's game, to get that shot off so quick. And it just puts so much pressure on the defense. It creates, you know what it's like when a great shooter gets ready to raise up, you get anxious as hell. It's like, oh no, it's going in. And I mean, that the amount of anxiety that you can create when you're just like that, and they know you can get it off. And then that's bringing D towards you and opening up other opportunities for you, for your teammates rather. And I mean, that's just so important to develop that shot. But I'm glad that you mentioned, so you're looking at about 19 when you really started to focus on becoming a three-point shooter.
Yeah, it was definitely later in my career. And it was just one of those things. Like I said, it's never kind of too late to work on, I think, anything in your game. But definitely for me, that was when I started to commit to just getting better at that, getting comfortable. And I think, you know, I've always found that the more I do, you know, the more I practice, the harder I work at something, the more confident you get with it. I think that's normal for everybody. And for me, I think half of it was just that I wasn't a confident shooter. So I needed to get in there and work at it more until, until it was something that I was confident with.
And how tall are you?
With shoes, probably 5'10". Like, I think I'm like 5'9.5". So I'm not very tall. No.
Okay. And so you've done one EuroLeague season.
Yes, this was my first EuroLeague. I've done Euro Cup before that, but never EuroLeague.
And who did you play with in Euro Cup?
It was the same team the previous year. So we were Euro Cup the previous year, and then we had to play into EuroLeague and make it into EuroLeague, which was why it was really rewarding and like a special feeling doing it with this team, because we really felt like we earned it. And made the most of that opportunity. So that was really fun.
So let's talk about the 2018 WNBA season.
My favorite.
You how many years have you played? How many years had you played WNBA before then?
That was my second year, right?
Yes,
that was my second year. Yeah, so I was a rookie the first year. We had a different coaching staff. And then that was the first year with Dan Hughes and that coaching staff. And it was just kind of this this magical year where everything kind of came together. Stewie was MVP and was just incredible all year. Sue was amazing. And I think kind of healthier that year than she was the previous year. Jordan was really coming into her own as well. And then obviously Natasha Howard just was phenomenal for us all year. But I mean, we had so many, did I do that? We had so many important people that really played a large role that whole season. And it was really fun to be a part of that whole year. And it was really.
What were you, like, seventh man, sixth man?
Honestly, it changed.
Yeah.
Throughout the course of the year. Like, I was like 10th man for a while, no joke. I was sixth or seventh man for a while.
I know.
Honestly, I think Dan was pretty good about, like, if someone was playing well, you know, he rewarded that and he used them and he went to them. And if you kind of stopped playing well, he kind of stopped using you as much. But, like, he rewarded that. So there were times when, like, Kalina was playing really, really well. And so she was the first one off the bench instead of me. Or, maybe I was shooting it a bit better. So I was first off the bench. And I think it also depended on how our starters were going. You know, if you have someone, like, all of our starters basically are all-stars. They're all really fantastic players. So if they're playing well, unfortunately, it sometimes means that we're just not going to get as much of a go, even if, we are going okay.
So how often is there a conversation about your role throughout that season? It's a pretty short season. I mean, is Dan coming to you and, like, sorry, Sammy, I didn't get you in last night, but
No.
da-da-da-da.
No, this isn't juniors. So you're not really getting those types of conversations, which again, like I didn't expect those conversations. And that's why like it's important to like, you have to be mentally tough. You know, you really have to just accept the role and the situation that it is. And you have to just be willing to work hard every single day. And not because you know that someone is seeing it and, you know, you're always going to get rewarded, but because you know that you have to stay ready because you just don't know when you're going to get an opportunity. You literally don't know. Like there were games where I wouldn't play in the first half and then you'd play like you'd get thrown in the end of the third and it's like, crap, I've got to be ready. Like there's no excuse. So,
and that's another thing I'm able to admire about you also is not only the fact that in those WNBA games, you can come in off the bench and go pow. It's the fact that in the other times of the year, you're a go-to. You're a number one or number two scoring option. You're used to getting your usage rate and getting touches and finding your radar. And I would have found it very difficult to come off the bench at any point in my career, just because I was fortunate enough to never have to come off the bench. But it's a total different existence, and for you to be able to go to the highest level and transform yourself into an uncertain time, and as opposed to how many minutes are you actually going to get? Like that's really, really tough.
It's definitely an adjustment, and I think it's the hardest thing probably to do. And it's always it is always interesting each year, kind of seeing that unfold game to game, because you just are never sure. But what I'll say about that is, you know, it's just one of those things where, like, I'm so lucky to play with the people that I play with because, like you said, it is hard to come off the bench, particularly if, one, you aren't used to it, and two, if it's just for a few minutes at a time or at different stages of games. But when you're playing with Sue and Stu and some of those amazing, you know, players that I get to play with, I mean, I was the one that was just left open. I was the one that people helped off of and that people, you know, leave. So, you know, and Stu finds you, they find you. So, I mean, they make it a lot easier is what I will say about that. You know, they do a really fantastic job of creating, you know, Sue knows the plays, you know, that we like as shooters. She knows how to get us open. She knows how to use us when we are out there, you know, and Jordan was really great with that too. I mean, all of them were. So as much as it's tough, you know, and you want to play more and you want to be contributing as much as you can and be out there, it's really nice to know that when you do get out there, your team believes in you and they try and find you. They try to really utilize you in the best way, obviously. That's going to help the team. And I think that was a really important sort of like understanding that I got, you know, in that second season. I felt that shift of like belief that they had in me and respect that they had for me in that when I did come in, it wasn't like, you know, she's just in there to fill minutes for someone to get a break. Like I really felt like they trusted me and were trying to find me. And there's a lot of power in that. And a lot of, I mean, that gave me a lot of confidence to come in and just do my thing kind of, even if it was for 2 minutes. Like I was going to go in there and I was going to give them my best 2 minutes. And I was fine with that, honestly. And I think that's why by the end of the year, camp come finals, you know, I ended up getting kind of a larger role and was rewarded. And, you know, I felt ready for it in the moment.
And what did you feel what game are you most proud of in the final series?
I mean, game 5 in the semis, no doubt, was probably my biggest thrill. Probably the game that I contributed the most, you know, statistically as well. But I think just my impact on the game, I felt like I really was able to help the team, whether it was knocking down a shot or just, you know, playing solid defense, getting the ball to Sue. Honestly, I felt like that was like, you know, there were lots of plays where I just had to like catch the ball in the wing, wait for Sue to come off of something and just give it to her. And then she just, you know, did her thing. She was just Sue, just made those big shots. So, but I was really proud of the effort that I brought and just being able to, you know, play solid defense, get some rebounds, help out. And yeah, it was a really, like, to be on the court at the end of that game. And then, you know, game 3 as well in DC when we won. I mean, I'll never forget that. You know, that's like an amazing feeling.
Wow. And how do you find playing with like you're with two iconic players, and even though Brianna Stewart, she's still young. Like, what is she?
Yeah.
20. What is she? 26?
24? No, she's
24.
like 24. Yeah, she's young. I don't think she's 26.
It seems like I've known about this girl for like 2 decades.
Yes. No, she's young. She's a baby. Yeah, but she
has potential to be one of the greatest players of all time, right?
Yeah. Oh, easy. Yeah, easily. I think when she's done, she will be. And I mean, so that game was on the other day on ESPN. They were replaying it, and we were all watching it, and like in the group chat, you know, reliving it and all hyped and stuff. But just when I watched it back, the thing that was so remarkable about her, obviously her skill set's, you know, incredible, but she was so poised. Like I felt like there was so many times where, you know, everyone kind of looks a little bit nervous and rushed, and, you know, it's obviously a big moment. It's a big game. Of course, that's probably normal, but she just looked so collected. Nobody rushed her. She did exactly what she wanted to do all game long. And I think that's what really sets her apart. She's just, she's young, but she knows what she's good at. She knows, you know, how to get to her spots. And she just, I don't know, she's very unflinching in that way.
Amazing. And do you guys hang out? Like, so I know sometimes people think on the outside, like, oh, you're in a team, everyone loves each other, and you're always hanging out at each other's places. What was that Seattle Storm team like? Did you guys actually kick it a lot together? Or
So that's probably the other, what made that winning that year really special as well, is, you know, everyone has their own, you know, people have other best friends, but we were really tight, really close. We did a ton of things together all the time. We were doing, and like it's hard to, you know, you're traveling so much, you're on the road quite a bit, so it's tough to do like actual like activities sometimes. Like sometimes it is just kicking it at someone's apartment, you know, because you just want to hang. But like we did a lot together. We really enjoyed each other's company. We really had a lot of fun. And I mean, prior to like that was my second year, but for most of those girls, it was like their 6th, 5th, you know, like year together. They've been together a long time building towards that. So I also think there was a lot of like relief and just satisfaction for that core group who had been there together, kind of build to that. So that was really fun as well. But yeah, honestly, the chemistry on court, I think really reflected our chemistry off court. We had a lot of fun.
Wow. Well, Sami, I've got to move on. Can you please come back in a few weeks and we can go through a full 60 minutes, because there's just things going through my head that we got to talk about.
I'd love to.
So,
hopefully, I'll be out of quarantine and feeling a bit better, and that'll be great.
It's good to meet you, and
you too. Thank you.
Let's definitely be in touch.
Yeah, sounds great. Take care.
Okay. Have a nice day.
Okay. You too. Bye.